So the Marvels is here, and man, expectations were low, middling. I don't think people were entirely hyped for this movie, due to all the crazy things that has been happening at Marvel. But surprisingly, after watching the movie, I think it was okay. It was not a bad movie by any stretch of the word, but the movie was had some heartfelt moments. The action scenes was okay. It's not something that we haven't seen before, and surprisingly, Kamala's family were one of the better parts of the movie. I thought that they were just going to be in there just for a quick scene or two to just show Kamala's family, and then Kamala will go off with Captain Marvel and Monica, and then the adventure begins then. But we got a lot more of them, and that is really good because I can't imagine them not being in there in some of the scenes. Like the movie would have gone down real quick. Now, some of the top moments, there weren't a lot, but there were 4 crazy moments that stood out in the movie. First is when Kamala, Captain Marvel, and Monica, their powers get entangled and decided switching around. That whole sequence was interesting. It was really good. The camera work most of the times was great. We got to see how Kamala fights now. She's more improved. I know people are going to say, how the hell is she fighting like this? Because she's had no training from anyone, and she's doing Black Widow type of crazy stunts. But I'll just give it a benefit of the doubt and say that maybe she's been watching videos of Black Widow and all these superheroes and all these fights, but how she's doing it, she's definitely a pro in this movie. And with Monica Rambeau in this sequence, we get to see that she's also at least mastered some of her abilities. We know that she got her powers, as she mentioned, from a witch hex or whatever. I don't know why they didn't just name drop Wanda. That would have been great. But the way Monica used her powers was really interesting and intriguing to see more of her, what she can do now, since this is the first time we are seeing her use her powers that she's gotten. The whole sequence as a whole was great. The second moment was the musical scene. I mean, they teased it in the trailers, but I never expected what I saw. The fact that the inhabitants of that planet actually speak musically, they communicate through music, and also seeing, Carol actually also singing, which took me aback for a second, but then I remembered that yeah, she sings and she has done some in a couple of her projects, and one which I remember fondly is Catwoman versus the World. But this scene, definitely a surprise. The singing was also great. Like I can tell that they put a lot into that scene, rehearsals, the singing, the choreography and everything, the dancing. So yeah, I pretty much enjoyed this scene. Now the third standout in the movie was actually the end fight scene, which I think was good, but also had its downside. I liked how they actually got accustomed to how they switch around when using their powers. Of course, we saw a montage of them actually learning it and training on how to control it or adapt to the changes. And I must say the choreography was phenomenal in how they weaved these 3 characters in this last fight against this villain who I must say was a total letdown in the movie. Now the fourth, the last most important, significant, clearly the most standout in the movie, which is going to get people to go to the theaters to actually see this movie, is the cameos. Hawkeye, Kate Bishop made an appearance in the movie at the end of the movie, where Kamala goes to basically recruit her. And I know this is an Avengers, Young Avengers tease for us. We don't know when the project is gonna ever come out, but with all the projects that are being delayed in the MCU at the moment, there are a lot of projects that have been announced and they have not even come out yet, and yet they are teasing the Young Avengers in this movie. And yeah, we've been introduced to some of them in some of the current projects that we've gotten over the years, but how it's all going to play out, I guess we'll see. Now, the shocking moments, the shocking cameos that we got at the end was in the post-credit scene, where we find out where Monica ended up in. We know that in the end battle, she had to close this huge tear in the space-time, which we know that it was to another universe. And so she ends up in a different universe, which we don't know which it is, but we get to see Beast from the X-Men. Yeah, the X-Men are being introduced slowly into the MCU, and this movie never thought that it was going to be this movie that was going to do it. But it makes sense since they made Kamala the first MCU, mutant. And so in this post-credit scene, Monica wakes up in, I think their lab or whatever she is. She's getting treatment because she passed out. And she wakes up seeing Maria Rambeau, or someone who's supposed to be, her, but we know that she's in a different universe. So this is a totally different person. And she goes by the name Binary with the whole costume inspired by the comics. We know that Captain Marvel sometimes goes by the name Binary, a different state that she's in. But the fact that, in this universe, she is Binary, it makes sense since even in the movie, a flashback scene where Carol Danvers tells, Maria that it should have been her who got the powers, but, Maria replied back that she never wanted to be Captain Marvel. And so in this universe, she is
Captain Marvel, defender of the cosmos.
Now, Hank McCoy, Beast, is played by the same guy who actually played him in the Fox X-Men Last Stand, Kelsey Grammer, amazing actor.
Hard to believe this one's fit me.
As Churchill said, there comes a time when all men must... you get the point!
And I think his CGI, they didn't go, the practical route that they went in the X-Men Last Stand. But this scene opens the door for the mutants to come in. Obviously, the mutants are going to show up in Deadpool 3. If you haven't seen my leak, I talked about how a lot of the Fox X-Men characters are going to make appearances. It's going to deal with the TVA, of course, Loki season 2. We've seen how, the timelines are branching left and right, and Kang and incursions have also been introduced in Multiverse of Madness, which we saw, some of it in this movie, which didn't happen, thanks to the Marvels. But the X-Men are here, they are coming. We've seen them in a different universe. Obviously, things are going to collide. We're going to see some of them in Deadpool 3, which is going to lead them all into Avengers Secret Wars, maybe in Kang Dynasty before that, or even other MCU projects, before we get to these big ones. Also Valkyrie made an appearance, a cameo. It looked like she has something going on with Carol, but they are just teasing it. At this, this cameo loses its impact because they showed her in the trailers, which Marvel has been doing that lately. And overall, this movie was good. It wasn't that great, but not, horrible or bad as people are saying it is. The villain was a total letdown. They tried to give her a sympathetic, backstory or motive, but it just didn't blossom because there wasn't enough time. The movie was so very short. I think Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, was portrayed much better in this movie, than the 2019 one. And no, that's not because she smiled. I guess, Brie Larson brought something different, to that stone-faced character that she tried to portray as all-powerful. Then again, we've seen her, basically be OP in the MCU, and in this movie, in order to tone her down and give, these two characters also a chance, they decided to give her a handicap by saying, the villain absorbs powers. She absorbs the abilities, so Captain Marvel isn't as powerful. But anyways, do let me know in the comments below what you thought of these 4 surprising, shocking, insane moments, especially the post-credit scene, the X-Men cameos. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. It helps the channel out. You can even share the video, and also please subscribe and turn on that post notification bell not to miss any new video as well. As always, Neddy Sage here. See you guys in the next one.